Welcome back. It's week 4, chapter 5 in Illustrator. This week, chapter 5 covers transforming artwork. We've already learned a few ways to do that, but we're going to learn some more. And we're also going to work a little bit more with artboards and the artboard tool. And we're going to create a pretty cool graphic that you can see in your book on page 139. So let's get cracking. From your Illustrator Lesson 2020, Illustrator 2020 Lessons file, Lesson 5, let's take our start file and open it up. And let's hope for not as many computer problems as I had yesterday. Although this is already a bad sign. Not a large file, should not be taking this long. All right. All right, thanks to the magic of editing, it is now open. Let's do a Command Option 0 to show all of our artboards in the window. And if I zoom out, we'll see that there is only one artboard, and that's why it filled the screen. It looks like these are artboards, but they aren't. They are actually just graphics hanging out down here. The lower left, we can see there's only one artboard, and in our properties panel, we can see that there's only one artboard. So let's do a file, save as, and we're going to call it your name and then info graphic. Graphic. Okay. All right. We are going to work with artboards today, and we've done that a little bit, but there's some other tools and other ways of using them that we're going to delve into today. So as you know, we use artboards for creating a variety of different project types within one file. So multiple page PDFs, printed pages with different sizes or different elements, maybe some independent elements that you're going to be using on an app or a website. You want to mock them up on different artboards, maybe storyboarding, whatever. So you can add or remove artboards at any time while you're working in a document, and they can be created in different sizes. So we're going to use the space bar to temporarily get the hand tool, and we're going to drag the artboard so that we can see some area to the right of it over here. We need to see some of this blank workspace area to the right. We're going to add a new artboard. So with our selection tool is a tool that we're going to have selected first of all, and then we're going to come over to our properties panel, and up at the top we do see that there's one artboard, but there's a button that says Edit Artboards, and that means to enter the artboard editing mode. So click on that button. Notice things have changed over here, but I want you to also notice that that automatically picked a different tool for us in the toolbar right over here. This is the artboard tool. So we're going to move our cursor to the right of this existing artboard, and we're going to click and drag down to an approximate width and height of 800 pixels, and then we're going to release. So when we see that tooltip get to approximately 800 in both directions, which is hard to do when you're talking, as close as you can get, you're going to let go. And that's going to automatically make a new artboard, and it's going to number it 2, and it's going to give it the generic name of artboard 2. It is also selected right now. It has a dash bounding box around it, and it happens to be in blue. So in our properties panel, if we didn't get this exact, we can go up to the transform and we can type in exactly 800 pixels by 800. Please note that we're working in pixels right now, so px is the ending. If we wanted to do this by inches, we would have to type in IN to get it to understand we're working in inches. All right. In the artboard here, we can see that the name is highlighted and it says Artboard 2. We're going to change that to back. This is the back of our flyer or trifold brochure, whatever it is that we're making. and hit return to accept that change. Notice the tooltip says the name up here as well. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to click on the new artboard button in the properties panel on the right to create a brand new artboard that's exactly the same size. So over here in the property panel we have our artboard, and to the right of it is the plus or new artboard. We're going to click on that. It adds a new one of the exact same size, which is quite helpful. All right, we're going to rename this one Front. Okay, once we've created artboards, we can edit or delete them using the artboard tool, different menu commands, the properties panel over here, or there's also an artboard panel. So we're going to do fit all in window to see all of them. I'm going to make sure I'm back in Illustrator here. Command Option 0, and we can see all 3 artboards in our window. All right. We're going to then zoom out a couple of steps. So I'm going to use Command minus, back in Illustrator again, and I'm going to use the hand tool to just kind of reposition. So I have my 3 existing artboards, and then I have some random artwork down here. All right. While we are still in this artboard editing mode, and we can see that we still have the artboard tool over here on the left as our selected tool, we're going to drag the artboard named Front, so this one, we're going to drag it over here to the left side. That way, when we work through them, it's going to go front, middle, back. All right, don't worry about its exact position, just let it go wherever it is over there. We're going to tweak that in a second. In the Properties panel over here on the right, in this editing mode, you're going to see a lot of options for editing this selected artboard. One of them is a preset. If you click on the down arrow, we're going to see lots of different presets. So maybe we wanted this to be a mock-up for a Samsung S8. It's already there for us. So custom is what we're in right now, but there are lots of other options. All right, we're going to click on our larger original artboard in the center, and we are going to take a peek at that. So fit artboard in the window. That command, when you do it, applies to the current artboard. So since we selected it first and then said fit artboard in window, it chose this one. So I am seeing the whole thing left to right, top to bottom, but I feel a little claustrophobic. I'm going to zoom out a step. I like to kind of see a little bit more. What we're going to do now is we're going to make this artboard dimension match the actual art itself. So this bottom middle bounding point of the artboard, we are going to drag up until it snaps to this artwork. I want to be really clear because this is kind of hard for people to understand. Your artboards should be exactly the size of the final piece as it will be trimmed. We talked about bleed, where typically there would be 1/8 of an inch all around this. If this was going to be printed and the blue would bleed off, if this is meant for web and these are the exact proportions, then we don't need bleed. But you never do an 8.5 by 11 artboard and then start working on it as if it's a sheet of paper and you're going to draw in the center of it. So your cell phone that you just did, I said it needs to be able to print on an 8.5 by 11, but if your actual file, or if your actual cell phone is, say, 2 inches by 5 inches in measurement, you actually should make the artboard come down to that size too, so that the artboard fits it. That's a best practice. The artboard is the actual stuff that prints. We don't need to treat it like a sheet of paper that we work on. So that's why we drag the artboard up to match the actual dimensions of this graphic. All right, we are done with artboarding, so we can click the exit button up here, or switching to a different tool in the toolbar would do the same thing. That took us back automatically to the selection tool, and we're ready to move on. I'm going to zoom out a little bit And you need to be able to see the 3 artboards that you have created, and where they're positioned up and down we're not worried about yet because we're going to fix it. So to fix those, we need to go into the artboard tool. So again, you could use the button over here, or you could just jump into the tool over here. I'm going to use the artboard tool, and the first one, the artboard that is selected, is the current artboard. We want to select the wow, that's a new word, the leftmost artboard, oh my gosh, so that we have O3 front selected. We also want to put these other 2 pieces in our selection. So we're going to hold Shift and we're going to click on this artboard and this artboard. Notice the bounding box went around all 3 of them. And you can see that these 2 are lined up at the top, but this one isn't, etc., etc. With all 3 of these selected, we're just simply going to click on the vertical align centers, and they all come into alignment like that. I feel like something's off with our dimensions, and I need to pause and figure this out. Yep, I missed a step. Back a little while ago when we were drawing these out and we drew them to 800 by 800 pixels, there was a step that I missed where we needed to change the height to 850. So I told you to clean up this 800, but I erroneously told you the second number. So it should be 850 pixels, and this one should also be 850 pixels. So now, whoops, I just bumped that one out of shape, which is actually perfect. I'm going to shift click all 3 of them and again tell it to vertical align center. Now they're all the exact same height. Much better. Okay, now I can jump back to where I went off the rails earlier. Okay, while we're still in the artboard editing mode, meaning we're using this button right here, we're going to rename our artboards. So we're going to click to select the middle artboard, click to just select that one, and in the Properties panel we have a button called Artboard Options, and that gives us a floating panel like this. All right, we are going to change the name of this to from Artboard 1 to be Inside. And then click OK. So we have front, inside, back, but they go number 3, number 1, number 2. You can also work with artboard commands and rearranging by launching the panel. So under the window menu, all of these options here are panels that you can activate, and they'll be free floating. So in here, we're going to open the artboard window, so this one right here, and we can see that we have number 1 is inside, number 2 is back, that one's over here, and number 3 is the front. We can also see their alignment. So if they were landscape or portrait, these are all fairly similar, and well, they are similar in height, but if they were different, you would see an alignment here as well. All right, this will allow us to reorder, rename, add, and delete artboards as well. It's just another way of working with them. Let's do a file, save as, and this gets us through page 145.